And South Range closes the season with Hubbard, and we transition right into the preview of the Hubbard Eagles, another team that is returning an all-star running back in TC Coffee, Ty, and really excited for the Hubbard running game and what they can bring to the table. Ty is muted at the moment.
There we go. There we go. We got it. Yeah, but TC Caffey, I'm sorry, was running back last year for Hubbard, 1,170 yards, 12 touchdowns last year as a junior, returning as a senior. And the big thing to watch, too, for Hubbard is both Alex Goodrick and Mike Zapka, two offensive linemen. Goodrick, a first-team NE8 last year. Zapka, second-team NE8 last year. Two huge offensive linemen that are going to do nothing but help Caffey going into this year. And you see Romo there. They both, Anthony Romo and Jamie Thompson, have the honor of watching TC Caffey. He looks like he's going to have a monster year this year, Anthony. Already a huge year last year in his junior year. Expect bigger things from him this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, how do you one-up a year that he had? But if anyone can do it, it's definitely TC. I think we came up with a bunch of names to what TC stands for. And as the season went on, it got bigger and bigger. So we might have to come up with some new nicknames this year.
He's definitely going to be entertaining to watch. And I think he's going to be part of a resurgent Hubbard offense this year, and I think you're going to see the Hubbard Eagles play a lot better offensively. They plateaued out towards the end of the season. I think they were trying to find their identity after the team started adjusting to them a little bit. I think they're going to come in with a better game plan too, and they have, I think, one of the top three, if not the best, running back in the area right now.
You know what really hurt them last year, and Romo can correct me if I'm wrong, but trying to remember last year, they had a lot of turnovers in bad situations, and that comes from a little bit of inexperience, and they did have turnover issues, and I expect that to be that's an easy fix. You almost kind of got to regather yourselves in the off season and work on ball control and trying to make sure that you're not coughing up the football in big situations.
Yep. Brant Borowick is their one defensive player. They lost a defensive back that was first-team NE8 last year, but they are returning Nick Bowser, a defensive lineman that was first-team NE8 last year. This is a team that has a lot of returns coming in last year, and like you said, Anthony, a little bit of inexperience last year. This was a very young team, but that is part of the reason why I expect them to make a big jump from 2020 to 2021 this year.
And Bowser's even bigger than Mario's arch enemy. I mean, he's a big, just... You do not want to deal with him on Hubbard's defense, and if he had a gift for I know when he makes big plays on YSN Social, I use the Bowser gift for him. So definitely expect big things from him and the Hubbard defense, returning quite a bit. A lot of experience on that Hubbard defense. They're going to be hard to score on.
Yep. And looking at their schedule, just like the other NE8 teams, the first 3 games are non-conference before they go into 7 straight NE8 games. So the non-conference games, August 20th is going to be at home versus Norwayne. August 27th, they have Cardinal Mooney come and visit them at home. And then September 3rd is Shaw visiting at home before they start their NE8 play, which is September 10th at home versus Poland, 17th at Struthers, 24th at home versus Jefferson, October 1st at Lakeview, October 8th versus Girard, October 15th at Niles, and October 22nd at South Range. So one of those teams with only 4 away games this year. There's been a few teams like that that we noticed that have less away games and more home games and vice versa. This is one of those teams that it looks like they have 6 games scheduled at home on the docket right now, and you got to figure that's going to play some sort of advantage for them. But one game I'm really looking at is that August 27th game against Cardinal Mooney. And I think that's a game between 2 teams, Anthony, that are going to be looking to have bounce-back years, kind of disappointed with how they were last year, but had a lot of things to look up to, a lot of pieces, a lot of players that they could build around. I think this is going to be a very great early season matchup between 2 teams that are going to be on the up and up.
So some more gems from Anthony Romo, who will be calling games for Hubbard this year as the voice of the Eagles and one of the treasured announcers here at YSN. And man, Romo's right on the dot. Like, you go through growing pains one year, but it could be a blessing in disguise come the year after when you have to go through those growing pains and you get that experience.
Well, it also has to be so easy for a quarterback to try to be incorporated into that system when you have such an effective runner behind center, or behind you, I should say, excuse me. But you have such an effective running back that you could just hand the ball off to 20, 25, 30 times a game that you know is going to flow and create this dynamic offense. All you need to do is just be able to, pick your spots, hit your spots. And I mean, this can be a very effective team because the offense, there's not a whole lot of work that needs to be done there. It's pretty much figured out what they need to do with offense. Defensively, I mean, like we said too, there are a lot of young pieces that are returning. They just need to figure out a scheme. But like Romo said, it's just those situational things. And if half of those situational things go in Hubbard's way this year as opposed to last year, you're probably looking at a much better record going into this year. So, I mean, I think maybe that's the goal for Hubbard this year, is just look to limit those turnovers and look to put yourself and come out as winners in those big situations in games.
Yeah, and you look at that non-conference schedule, it feels like this is an overarching theme in the NE8. Schedule tough in those first 3 weeks and make sure we are ready to go come conference time. I mean, you look at opening with Norwayne, who was a deep playoff run last year. Then you have Cardinal Mooney, who is just, everyone knows what Cardinal Mooney brings to the table. And then you have Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Those are three.
Shaw had a pretty decent run too, last year.
Legitimate deep playoff runs, programs that you're putting on your schedule. And I think it's safe to say come week 4 when the NE8 schedule starts, Hubbard's going to know exactly what they're made of.
I think the NE8 right now is just trying to establish dominance and say, if you want to play with the big boys in a big boy conference, you come to the NE8 right now, because it seems like every single team there, no matter of what their record was last year, no matter of where their team situation is or talent wise or where they feel like they are scheduling up, and they're scheduling as high up as they can for their non-conference games, and good on them too. I mean, great competition breeds great athletes.
One of the conference games I'm really looking for Hubbard is Girard, because Girard is completely opposite of Hubbard in the offenses they run. Girard likes to spread the ball out. We'll talk a little bit more about the Indians later in the program, but man, do they really enjoy just the running gun, the athletes on the outside, Nick Bolito coming back, and man, they are just opposite. Hubbard likes to run, ball control, three yards in a cloud of dust, and Girard wants to score quickly. And anytime two teams are coming in with opposite styles, all going to be about who controls the tempo. We talked about it last week with, yesterday. Yesterday with the Canfield bowling game. Two opposite styles. Who's going to control the tempo? And that's going to be, out of all of the NE8 matchups, I think Girard, on Hubbard's schedule, Girard is the most unlike them as far as offensive schemes.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that pool of 3 teams of Hubbard, Girard, and Struthers are really 3 teams I'm waiting, because I feel one of those 3 teams makes a jump and is significantly better than last year. All 3 teams kind of hovered around the 500 mark win-loss record. They were good teams. They can be great teams. They can make that next step too. And being one of those teams, Hubbard that's going to be a great game, because Girard, like you said, has that contrasting style. So it's going to be a game where these teams have to think outside of the box a little bit to beat their opponents, because they're going to see something completely different coming from the other side of the ball. And it's going to be a game too towards the end of the season that's going to be interesting.
That being said, the Struthers game and the Girard game might be very important towards the NE8 standings. If those 3 teams are hovering in the top of the pack, those are the games that you have to really win to separate yourselves from the top to the bottom. So for Hubbard, Struthers and Girard could be the 2 really important games to keep themselves set up for a run at the top of the NE8.
And not to mention, too, 16 teams making the playoffs. So winning those, being around 500, those 6-7 wins might be all you really need to get those playoff seeds, which I think will be enough. If you get 6-7 wins, you should get a playoff seed. But I mean, hey, one of these teams could be vying for that 6th win against each other to make the playoffs, and that might be just the game that does it for them. So it's going to be great competition, I think, right in the middle of that NE8.
And for Hubbard, the higher in division you go, the smaller that window gets on the teams that, the records that can make the playoffs in Division 3, that region is absolutely legitimate. So Hubbard's got to try to win every game they can, because unlike some other divisions, but down low in Division 6 or 7, I don't think 5-5 or 4-6 might not cut it in a 16-team playoff.
Exactly, and that's the interesting thing, and that's the beautiful thing about this, because they're NE8. You're competing against each other in conference, but you're also competing in your own separate divisions, and you also have your own agendas that you need to worry about, and your own teams that you need to worry about winning and losing against. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a great point too that you made. That Hubbard being a higher division, you're gonna have to really bring it against some of these lower division teams, and you got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat week to week.